Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome to another episode of our Timeline Summit series. Today we are with an inspirational soul and a beautiful healer and teacher and just a stunning, remarkable woman who has led a life well lived. Gladys McGarey is with us, and she is here to talk about the secrets of living a life well lived. Hi, Gladys. Thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
This is so beautiful because you are one of the oldest healers on the planet. You are 103 years young, and you have not stopped, but you have found the secret. You have found a secret to going on in the face of everything. And what would you say that is?
Well, it's love. Love is the center of it all. And I have 5 L's that I'd like to talk about.
Yes.
That are sort of form a platform for a philosophy that has helped me work these whole concepts out. The first 2 have to go together. Life and love can't be separated. They're like a pregnancy. When I'm pregnant, that baby eats what I eat, thinks what I think. We are one unit. It's one complete manifestation of one unit, which finally manifests itself as who and what it is when he, she takes its first breath. So it's that importance of being one total unit to develop into what then presents itself as its own unit. And if this isn't done with love, it really has a hard time for the rest of its life. It's a matter of actually taking its first. When I was working with helping mothers birth babies, when I heard that first breath that baby took, for me, it was like the angels singing. It was that, I can't explain it any other way. It was like, oh, I'm here, and I'm here because of love. So as those 2 together, life and love, you try to separate them and things fall apart. The third L is laughter. Laughter without love is cold, it's cruel. It takes families apart. It causes wars. It's mean. But laughter with love is joy and happiness. The 4th L is labor. Oh, too many diapers. Gotta go to work. Life is too hard. But we do it, but we drag ourselves through it. It becomes really a burden, and life becomes very hard. But life with love is bliss. It's what you're doing, it's why you're doing what you're doing, what I'm doing, what singers do when they sing, what painters do when they paint. It's what your soul wants you to do. And so it's not with love, it's bliss. And the 4th one is labor, which I'm mixed up here. I said laughter, right?
Yes, laughter and labor.
Okay.
And listening.
Now we're into the 5th one, and that's the labor is listening. Yes. Listening without love is empty sound. You can hear the most important message of your life. If you're not listening, you're not going to hear it. And so, but listening with love is understanding. So for me, these 5 L's kind of hold love in a place where not most everything that we do is touched by these 5 L's and make it a sort of, for me, it makes it kind of a platform from which we can work.
So as people, because this life on this planet is a huge lesson in love, lessons to show us where we don't have love, lessons to show us how we rekindle love. So as we move through life and we lose sight of that love, how do we rekindle it? How do you find that light? How do you find it and build it or make it present? And you've gone through some things in your life. We'll talk about that in a minute, but in your darkest hour, how did you find it?
Well, you're never going to find it if you're not looking for it. If you're looking for light and you're looking for joy and you're looking for happiness and so on, you'll find it. It's there, but it's not going to come and get you. It can, but basically, if you're not looking for it, it's going to, well, I kind of picture it this way. If I'm walking down a dark path with my flashlight, and it's a good flashlight, I can see every step ahead of myself. So I'm walking along it pretty confident, knowing what I'm doing, I think. But I look over to the side and there's one little blinker of a light over here. Looks like it's having a hard time. If I leave that alone, it continues to be that way. But if I shine my light on it, everything lights up. In other words, we need each other. And life and love have to go together. We have to move together. And so as love steps into the actions of our lives, which we can think about or just do naturally, it becomes the essence of what our life is about. And let me tell you a little story that says this for me, because I had a friend. He was a family friend. He ate dinner with us a lot, and just a wonderful man. For years and years, we had a really good relationship. And then he moved into dementia. His mind changed and began to fade. And so we found a really lovely place for him to stay where he was well taken care of and all of that. And one week, I took a little plant over to him in a little jar, in a little, pot. And it was a little green plant. It wasn't much of a plant, just a little plant. And I took over and I went to his room and I said, "Now, James, this little plant is yours to love and take care of, but it needs to have you do this because it loves you, and as you love it and give it water and give it sunlight and all that." And as far as I could tell, he wasn't paying attention. He just walking around, I'm just talking. And so I explained to him about this little plant. And then I happily say goodbye and I leave him with the plant. As far as I knew, that's it, because he hasn't responded in any way. So I'm gone for a week and I come back and he meets me at the door and he's saying, "Magic, magic." And I said, "What, James, what?" He says, "Look, box." And he takes me over to the air conditioning box and he points, he says, "Push button, everything cool. Plant loves cool." And then he takes his finger over and he pushes another button. He says, "Push button. Oh, hot. Ooh, hot. Plant doesn't like hot." And so he was there telling me that he and the plant had created a relationship that wasn't dead. It wasn't drudgery. It wasn't unheard. It was a real active process that the two of them understood because of love. And it's that kind of reaching beyond what you know or you think you know about what's going on with each other to what really is going on when love is in action.
I love that. I really do. Thank you for sharing that beautiful story. It's he could feel the frequency of the plant. On this platform, we some people know that I work with plant music. There is a device that is such beautiful technology. It's like a keyboard, an electronic keyboard in this little device. And you take the electrodes and plug it into a plant, any plant, one near the root and one on the leaf. And the energy of that plant, which absolutely communicates with us at all times, comes into this small electronic keyboard. The energy is converted into musical notes, and we can hear the plant making music for us.
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
I know. Yes.
And so that's again why my background, because we always know why we love nature. What makes us feel so good is because of nature is really singing to us. And so nature is loving us. Isn't that beautiful? Nature's loving us, and that's why we love it. So as we're talking about unity consciousness and a timeline for the planet, let's zoom out and look at the whole planet and where, I mean, if love is the key to everything, is it one heart at a time that awakens to love? What can we do to assist in the collective to make no more war and to really return to this unity like a mother and a child in the womb? Have you thought about that?
Oh, absolutely. I think about it a lot because I think it's very important that we as humans accept the role that we have to play on this planet. And see, this isn't any theology or anything, it's just a thought I have. When God, whatever God is to each one of us, created the universe, it was perfect. Everything was right where it belonged. Nothing was out of place. Everything was perfect. And then God created the human being. And he got us around in what he was doing. And he said to us, now, here's the universe. Everything's perfect. There's nothing out of line. It's all exactly the way it should be. But now I've created you as human beings are the only living objects on this planet which have will and free choice. So I now give you dominion over the planet. And we, in our arrogance, decided that meant dominance. And we took over. Well, look what's happened. I think it's about time that we re-looked at this planet of ours in all of its dimensions that we can access and rethink about what it is that we're doing. Dominance means, boy, it's mine. Dominion means, oh, I can take care of it. It's a loving process. And we have what I'm finding is that as people are reaching back to the secrets and that kind of thing, I'm finding that human beings around the earth, I think, are reaching back to their true humanity. I think it's an amazing time in our earth. Why you're doing what you're doing is because there are whole groups of people who are reaching back to their true humanity so that they can do the dominion and love the planet and take care of it. But we just better be aware of what it is that we're doing and use our ability for choice and free will in the way it was intended to be used.
Yes, that is so beautiful. I get chills when I hear you talk, and I know that we are sensing an awakening happening where people are reaching back to their true humanity and their soul and embodying the soul even more. So a great conversation. I want to get to some of the points in your latest book. You have written several books. You are also the founder of the Foundation of Living Medicine and so much more. Your work is extensive on the planet, and people can look on this webpage and read all about you. Really remarkable. In your book, The Well-Lived Life, a 103-year-old doctor's 6 secrets to health and happiness at every age. One of the secrets is spend your energy wildly. And so let's talk about energy and spending it wildly, because we know that where we put our attention, that's where our energy goes. So can you talk more of what it means to spend our energy wildly?
Yeah, energy isn't like a bank. You can't go in and save it. Energy is you has to move, like with life. Life and love have to move, and they move together and they become one unit, but they can move and must move together. If life stops moving, it dies. If love stops moving, it dies. So we have to be aware that in order for us to even come close to our true potential, we have to pay attention to life and love. And the fact that's one unit, like a pregnancy. Really, I think a pregnancy is such a magnificent example of what it is that we're talking about. And I've come up with the word femifestation and manifestation. I think we as women, we naturally have to femifest because that's our nature. But we also femifest in areas that we don't know what we're doing. It's just the way we do things. I think when we manifest, it's like Jacob's ladder. You get a degree, you climb one, you buy a house, you do something that manifests. And so and we as women have been trying very hard to do that, to be manifesting things all our lives. Well, a few years back, there were a group of us who decided we needed another word that would work for us as women, and that's femifestation. We know a lot about manifestation, but we didn't realize that we as women were femifesting all the time. It's sort of like, in order to manifest, it is the ladder, but to femifest, it's like a spiral. And you can be up at the 5th level of the spiral and know what's going on at the 2nd level. I mean, we do that. It's natural. It comes, a mother can have a baby in her arm, another one on the floor, and a dog. I mean, it's all the stuff that we as women do, which we know goes on all around us and we're working with. But that's the ability of knowing what's going on with the energy of life, which if we are using it in what I'm calling just use it, don't try to bank it, don't try to store it. It doesn't store well. It needs to be used. It's like James's little plant. That little plant needed to have James, and he needed that to keep his energy moving.
Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. So beautiful. And as we are, moving through our timelines, creating timelines, we're understanding from this series that we do it with love, that we are in a presence of love.
Right.
If we are in a place of fear or doubt or worry or anger, then we are not creating the highest timeline for our lives, the happiest timelines. And so I would like to go into a personal story for you, because this is where it gets inspiring for others. There was a time in your life, you were in your 70s and you had heartbreak. Your husband at the time came to you and said, I want a divorce. And that has got to be gut-wrenching. Was that a surprise? And I read that it was a dark time, and it took you a while to recover. How did you get over that? That's the inspiration for so many others, because most would just want to check out, period, the end. How did
Well,
you?
I was, he served me divorce papers, and I had no idea that was coming because I thought I was happy. I mean, we had done all these things together, and we had our 6 children together, and we had grandchildren. Life was good, and I was going along helping patients and working, and I get this. And it was like I was blindsided. I was thrown off I couldn't understand what had happened. I was I remember specifically being on my way home to an empty house with nothing but my dog there. And I was in my car and I was yelling and screaming and acting awful and saying words I don't even know. And just, it was a mess. I mean, I was a mess in that car. I was totally broken. Just the fact that the car was I knew this road, so I could just kind of go it, but I was just going it, but it was just, it, if, if anybody had looked in that car, they would have been sick. It was that bad. It was just terrible. So finally, I pulled off to the side of the road, and I got out of the car and I stood there and on the side of I-10 looking around, and I opened the car door and I said, oh, that's awful. What's in there is what you just, oh, I had, the thought forms that were there were just terrible. I was so broken and so torn apart that I thought I'm just not going to be able to go on anymore. This is it. I'm done. It's, I've done all this, but et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going, but I've got the door open, and it's there. And all of a sudden I think to myself, are you going to live the rest of your life like that? Is that what you want? And I thought, no, it's not what I want. And so I began talking to the energy around me about what I really needed to find was how I was going to continue, because I had the choice of how I was going to live the rest of my life. And I either chose to live like that, which was just ugly and horrible and mean and something I couldn't stand, or, and the words came to me, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And there was my face, my name, BeGlad. And I thought, oh, okay, all right. And I got back in the car and I went to my home, and I explained the whole thing to my dog. And then the next morning, I went into town and I had my license plate changed from what it was to BeGlad, so that every time I went into my car, I had to see that. And it had to remind me to be glad. And all the time, I was driving for 60 years after that with that license plate on the back of my car. And everybody who was behind me would see Be Glad. So the message that I had to give to others was the message that I had to keep telling myself every time I got into the car. And it totally turned things around so that within, well, it was a couple of years before I was able to do this. I was able to write my ex-husband a letter thanking him for giving me my freedom. Because up to that point, everything that was listed and so on, it was always Bill and Gladys, Bill and Gladys. And now it's Gladys. There's no Bill before that. I had stepped up to the work that I had to do, and I was going on doing it. So when I realized that his choice was his choice, but what it did for me was free me from something that I didn't need to keep on carrying on.
Wow. That is the inspiration of keeping on, and it's illustrative of the choice, the power of your choice. When you made a decision that you don't like that and you don't want to be that way anymore. And so slowly you shifted the energy, right? That's your energy of you. And that's like when we're talking about love and life moving, you decided to move that energy along.
I
So
reclaimed it. I reclaimed my own name and
yes.
my own energy. So I think that's really important to identify. You know, we each one have a special place in this world. It's sort of like a major jigsaw puzzle, where if one piece is missing, you know, if you've done 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and the last piece of you drive yourself crazy. But things happen. Jigsaw puzzles can tell stories. If one piece is missing, then the jigsaw puzzle isn't complete. And this interesting thing happened, a few weeks ago. My son was going out to his car, and as he looked down at his feet, as he was opening the door, he saw this little piece. Can you see it?
Mm.
It's a jigsaw puzzle. It's a jigsaw, a piece of a jigsaw puzzle that was at his feet. And he picked it up as a sign that he was in the right place at the right time. But it's that kind of awareness that we each have our own place, and no one else can fit into a jigsaw piece's place. There isn't any other jigsaw piece that can fit that. You know, it has to find itself. And when it finds itself, then it can show up where it wants to, so that whoever's running this at that point can put it where it needs to be. But it's the jigsaw puzzle of life, which says, I need to be in the place I need to be every moment that I need to be there. But, you know, nobody else can put me there. Oh, they can, but if I'm in charge of what I'm doing, I better learn to put myself where I belong.
That is beautiful and indicative that we are all here for a reason. We all have purpose.
Absolutely. That nobody else can take.
That nobody else can do. See, that's so comforting.
Yeah.
That really is comforting. I want to say that you have a BeGlad community. People can go to your website, Gladys McGarey and .com, and sign up for your BeGlad community. That's really important. So, okay, in our audience, we have the whole gamut of people. We've got young people waking up that have never really been asleep. Those are the new people that are coming of age on our planet. And then we've got people, you know, it seemed like in the 40s, around the age of 40, 35, 40, definitely 50, then 60, 70, 80, my goodness, you 90 and 100, stepping into your purpose and your power. Um, how do we create that? One of our number one questions is, how do I find my purpose? How do I find my passion? And you did it by going through your struggles and making a choice. I'm going to be glad. You're Gladys.
Yeah.
How would people create that community around themselves so that they can feel purposeful? Do you have ideas on that?
By making friends with the people around you, a lot of times you can have a person who you don't particularly like, you don't like their philosophy, you don't like their personality or whatever, but you can find, maybe they wear a decent shirt once in a while or something, maybe you can find some little thing that you can at least say, yeah, well, that's okay. We don't have to dislike a person just because we don't dislike who they are. They just, they are who they are, and they're doing what they're doing, and we can take that and plant it in our life process as something that we don't have to deal with. That's their karma. They're dealing with the stuff that they've created, and I don't have to take that up. I can just let them deal with that and kind of bless them and let them go off. My mother used to say, my mother was a great person. She was a really amazing person to be a mother. So there's so much good in the worst of us and so much bad in the best of us. It hardly behooves any of us to talk about the rest of us. And so I would come in complaining about my brothers or somebody like that, and she'd stand there and she'd say, there's so much good in us, and I'd mouth it, with her because I knew what she was saying. But it's such an important thing. There's so much good in the worst of us and so much bad in the best of us. It hardly behooves any of us to talk about the rest of us. Isn't that beautiful?
I do love that. I really do. It's almost like just being very present and not complaining, no judgment. So talking about energy, we're getting to a point where we can feel like if we talk bad about someone or judge something, we can feel that in our body. It's not good energy. Like in your car when you were angry, that's not good energy. And you have said that love is healing. Love heals all. So we're talking about energy healing as well. Can you give your insight on love is healing? Why do you say that?
Well, because it is. When you experience love, really experience it, it really does heal. I've worked with enough patients that, actually, I hugged every patient that walked through my door. I didn't care whether he was 6'6" or whatever. It was somebody, everything that came into, everybody who came into my office, I hugged them. People knew that I was going to do that. And it was because I chose to do it, which means to me that if we open our arms to the loving act as it presents itself to us, and it's different for each one of us. If we're looking for love, and we present ourselves as some way in which love can manifest, it will manifest however it is. Everybody doesn't have to hug everybody, but as a doctor, I had chosen to do that, and it helped me and it helped the patients. So it's a matter of doing what you find and paying attention to what the patient is doing. I want to tell this quick story because I think it's funny. I had this patient that I'd worked for. I guess we'd worked for several years on a problem that she had, which was a stiff shoulder. And we had tried everything we could think of to help her with that shoulder. She'd gotten treatments and all of that. She still had this shoulder. And so she was in the office again, and we'd gone through our whole routine again. And she's just ready to leave. And so she turns around and she picks up her purse. And she had this huge purse that was a bag, and she put it on her shoulder. And the two of us looked at her, at each other, and we said, there you are. You know, it was something that was so obvious and so, you know, we knew what was going on, but we hadn't looked closely at what the actual actions were that might have created it. And so simple, you know.
Oh my goodness, so simple. All right. In your incredible life and all the wonders that you've done, it's almost as if there's no retirement, right? Let's talk a little bit about that, and the programming of humans. So I want to share a little bit of as we talk about that, I want to share that you grew up in India. Your parents lived in India when you were a small child, and that influence right there gives me goosebumps. Not only that, but you met Mahatma Gandhi. You met Gandhi, or you made eye contact with Gandhi. And so I want to ask, do you have guides? Is he one of your guides now? Or who keeps you going in your spiritual practice? Who do you connect with?
Well, I have what I call memory lane. So if I have a night when I'm not sleeping, I go down memory lane and I relive some of the amazing things that have happened in my life. My mother went into labor with me at the Taj Mahal. I mean, I think that's pretty.
Oh, you were born in India. Do you have a Indian citizenship?
Oh, I was British.
British in India.
You know, India was under British rule.
Ah, that's right.
So I had dual citizenship, British, you know, English and American. In
Okay.
fact, this is funny. When I came to college, I was 15 and I came to Muskingum College in Ohio. And, in the first assembly, when the whole student body gathered and we started to sing God Bless America, well, we had sung God Save Our Gracious King when I was in India, okay? So I start out, everybody else is singing God Bless, you know, and I'm singing God Save Our Gracious King. And there was a man standing in front of me. He turns around and he's cracking up and he says to me, while this singing is going on, he said, my parents are missionaries in Egypt and I did the same thing because Egypt was under British rule at that time. But anyway, it's funny how these memories of different things where you claim who you are and what you are really identify what it is that you're doing at that time. And being able to look back on different places in your life that were pivotal to how you chose or what path you chose to take are just really, really important.
Yes, and we're learning that those are choice points in our life. And so what do you say about the frequency of choice. What do you do how do you center yourself when you need to make a choice? Because many on the planet are doing it out of fear. It's either fear or love, right? What do you do?
Well, you have choices all the time, but let me tell you another story. You know, when I was, I'm still dyslexic. I was so dyslexic that I had to repeat first grade twice. And I was the class dumbbell and all of that. But when I got into third grade, the teacher saw something in me that the first teacher hadn't seen. And so she appointed me as class governor. So I was able to take the message of our third grade class to the whole student body. That I could do. I could talk. I couldn't read or write, but I could talk. So she had seen that in me. So this one day our class was to give a play for the whole student. Are we out of town? Are we out of time? John?
What?
Are we out of time?
No.
Okay. So we had a play to give to the whole student body. And it was a frog jumped over the pond and I was the frog. So I came into feeling, really good. I was going to be able to do this. My mother had made a green suit for me and all, and we had a pan of water and I could jump over it. So I walked into the auditorium, and in the first row of the auditorium, my two older brothers were there, but it threw me off my pace just enough that I landed in the pan of water, not over the pan of water. The frog didn't jump over the pond, it landed in it. And I'm standing there and I'm broken. I'm crying. I couldn't move. The teacher had to take me off the stage. The audience was in absolute hysterics. They were just doubled up laughing. So at dinner time that night, my brothers have told this story, and my mother finally says, "All right, boys, now you've had your fun. What can we do as a family to help Gladys if this ever happens to her again, so that she won't be laughed at, but laughed with?" And for the rest of my life, I've done things where I've tripped coming onto a stage or something like that, but I've been able to catch it in a way that I was able to say something that would turn the way the people were looking at it, and we would start out with a laugh, and I immediately had my audience. So it's a matter of looking at what we're doing and seeing how we can adapt our moment by moment life to that process. And as we do that, what I've found out is I dwell in gratitude. My dwelling place is gratitude. I'm so grateful for all the things that have happened, and memory lane can bring them back.
Thank you for sharing that. Again, so inspirational and inspiring. And so living the heart's passion, doing what makes your heart sing is really a key here. And you have illustrated that with your life. And so what do you say about this reprogramming ourselves from the mainstream collective of you need to retire at this age, because that's not healthy, I don't think it is, but making the shift to doing what you love and being in gratitude, because you just simply do what you love. And
I'm calling that aging into health. Why are we talking about, the whole process of getting old? Well, so okay. I have a 5-year-old grandson who thinks he's old because he's you know, he had his 5th birthday and he isn't going to have any more 5s, you know. But it's that way of being aware that life goes on and accepting what is and taking it and living with it. So I'm calling that aging into health because I'm legally blind. I have glaucoma in one eye and a blind spot in the other. I can't read, but I can have audiobooks and I can, you know, there are lots of things, but my eyesight has diminished, but my insight has gotten better. So if we can look at life in that way of if something is diminishing in what you can't do, find out what you can.
I love that. I really love that. And find out what you can do and reach for love in all ways.
Right.
Love is the guide. Wow. Love is always the guide.
It is.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. I wanted to ask you a few more things. So when you get up every day, you've probably been asked this so much. What is your daily protocol? Do you meditate? You said your insight, you have deep insight now and you can see. What do you do every day as a protocol for
Well,
aging and health?
I pay attention to whatever dreams I've had.
Oh,
And I, you know, I eat my breakfast, I go to the bathroom, I do the things I need to do, and I start my work. It's what the day brings forth. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us be glad in it. You know, it's that you take what is coming. So I do what's available each day as it comes. And I'm grateful for that, whatever. And some days they aren't so good.
right. Yeah. Okay. That's the inspiration. Now you touched on the dreams. So I'd like to ask about your dreams. What have you learned about your dreams? What do they represent? Are there, maybe that's a whole nother book for you someday.
Oh, I've written about those in one of my books, but the dreams is our inner being, our unconscious mind that speaks to us in dreams. And if we pay attention to the dreams, if we ask for a dream, if we're looking for a dream, I've found that so many of my issues have been answered in the form of a dream.
Oh,
Unlike uh, for years, because I was dyslexic and all the rest of that, I didn't trust my own voice. But then one day, when I was 93, I had a dream. And I woke up from this dream laughing and singing.
mm,
I looked back into the dream, which was kind of still going on. And what I saw was myself as 9-year-old Gladys coming out of the tent in the jungle where my parents had you know, they were doing their work. And I was checking to make sure that my younger brother wasn't there because he'd tattle on me. Because we weren't allowed to sing anything but hymns and bhajans on a Sabbath morning. And I thought as a 9-year-old, and who thought she was pretty smart, that was a dumb rule and I didn't like it. So I was checking out that my brother wasn't there and he wasn't. So I climbed as fast as I could to the top of the mango tree. And I'm sitting up in the mango tree and I'm singing any old song I wanted to sing and I was having a great time. But I look over my shoulder and Jesus is up in the tree with me. This is my dream. And I look over and I see Jesus and I say, oh, Jesus loves the little children, right? And he's laughing. And he says, yes. So I go back to my singing, but then I get to thinking, did he really say yes? So I go back on my shoulder and I say, I'm still a little children, right? And he says, yes, and he's really cracking up. He's really laughing. And so then I go back to my singing, and I wake up saying to myself, singing and laughing and saying, if Jesus can accept you that way, for pity's sake, accept your own voice. And at 93, I began to actually say, okay, if I've written it, it's okay. It's the way it is. I'm not going to recheck it all the time.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful conversation. Again, it is so inspiring because you're turning on its head our notion of aging and the societal programming of what we should do at certain ages. And so you're breaking the mold in so many ways, and that is so inspiring. You are a beacon of light to so many, and I know you already know that. Yes. So
Aging into health. Let's
yeah.
keep it aging into health.
Let's keep it that way. Beautiful. I love how you gave every one of your patients a hug. You are love in action, and that is how we create the highest timelines in our life. It's how you've created a beautiful life. And I wanted to say, in some of our timeline work, we're looking at seeing ourselves time traveling into the future, 10 years into the future, 20 years into the future. And even going back, like you did in your dream space, going back to that 9-year-old that you were. What is your intention behind your 10-year plan? You yourself have 10-year plans, and it's not like goals, but can you share with us a little bit about what your 10-year plan looks like and why you have it?
I want to have a village for living medicine. In other words, they're actually being created around the earth. They're called blue zones, where people are getting, the community are gathering around them in this particular place where life and love and friendship and joy and the positive things in life are why people are going there. And they're happening all around the world. We have a new one that's starting here in Arizona, in Scottsdale. So it's the life and love have to move. And when they move and they move together, things happen. And this is, why are we talking like this? Why do we even have the opportunity to do this? Isn't it awesome? I mean, really, when I didn't even know that a telephone was something when I was a kid. You know, we had no way of communicating. And here we are talking to people around the world. It's so amazing. And we can share this with each other because we human beings are the same stuff. We, no matter what the language, no matter what the community is, we're still human beings, and we still have free choice and free will.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Gladys McGarey. This has been so precious. And again, I'm inspired. You are an inspiration for so many, a bright light for so many. And thank you for creating the villages for living medicine and the blue zones. It's happening. We call that New Earth, and it's a frequency. And I'm venturing to say that you live the New Earth frequency. Yes.
I think so. Yeah. Well, you know, that's why you saw me and why I saw you and why you asked me to speak.
Yes. So a big hug to you and all of our love from everyone watching this. I hope you can feel that as we radiate it to you, and we can feel your radiance of love to us. You have shifted us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being there and doing this.
Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.